morning, you guys. So we are back in action in our new vehicle that you cannot see much of, but I will say it is very nice and I am obsessed with the interior of it. Like literally I'm covering the entire interior, but the interior is this like maroon color, or like burgundy, I guess is probably a better way to describe it. I literally just set you up so perfectly, and now then I moved the camera, of course, right away. But the interior is gorgeous. I literally love this car so much. This is my first time vlogging in this car, which is crazy, but I needed to. I was like, I just need to get on camera in the car. I haven't done it in a minute, and I have so many stories to tell you guys. I'm gonna take that off. So many stories to tell you guys about the move that I have yet to share. And also, I went to Dunkin' this morning, and I don't know, the Dunkins here are not hitting in the ways that I would like them to. I actually had to pull through a second time because they messed up, and well, they did mess up. It's so frustrating when they do this, but they gave us sugar-free, like the sugar-free caramel and sugar-free vanilla rather than the caramel swirl and the French vanilla swirl. And if you know anything about that, it just does not, it does not hit the same. In fact, it's disgusting. Like, it's so gross. I'm trying to make sure, like, I actually have no idea if my face is in focus because like my chest is so far out that I think my chest is the only thing in focus right now, but I can't really tell. Let me check really quick. Okay, I think we fixed it. Hopefully we fixed it. But anyway, you guys, this is going to be the video where I share with you all of the funny stories, and in hindsight I'm regretting so badly not sharing with you as the stories were happening, because I hope I remember them all. But you'll have to bear with me if I don't. It's just so much more funny when like I share them as they're happening because I'm in it, but I'm going to try and remember all the details. So we're gonna start out with the first story, which is, whoa, oh cool, this, you guys can't see it, but the steering wheel goes in and out. I guess steering wheels do that normally, but that makes my life so much easier when I'm filming. This is amazing. Anyway, the first thing is that we got the news that Dominic was going to have a job here in Florida, and Dominic and I were both like, okay, now what? Because we are not there to look for a place, and they had his start date set a month later when we first got the news he got the job, but like we didn't know anything about relocation. We knew no like financial part of it, so we knew like if we didn't have a relocation, like there's no way we could feasibly do the move. So we ended up having to wait till they got back about relocation, and it literally took them, actually I think we might have known a month and a half before we moved that like this was an option, but we knew nothing about relocation. So we literally waited probably a good month to find out about relocation. And once we found out about relocation, it was 2 weeks before his start date. So they offered him it a month and a half prior, and they said, your start date is going to be this date. And we were like, okay, like we could do that as long as we know what we have going on for relocation. But then they never told us. They literally never told us what it was, what the relocation part of it was, until 2 weeks before. So 2 weeks before he was scheduled to start, like we were still literally looking at each other like, okay, we could be here still or we could be moving. We have no idea. They put us in a bind with that, I'm not gonna lie. But in the end, it all ended up working out. 2 weeks before we were set to move here, they said, okay, relocation, we're gonna be able to get that for you. So we were able to get a relocation approved that like wasn't as much as we would have liked, but it was very helpful in this move. And like if you've ever done a move with a job before, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, like you don't realize, you literally do not realize how much easier it is to do it with the backing of a company, because we've done like cross-country trips or cross-country moves many times now, and like it's just so different when you know you have like a set amount of money that you can spend, and it makes life so much easier. So that's how and why we were able to hire movers for this move, because like we typically wouldn't hire movers, but I'm gonna eat my words on that, because from now on we're hiring movers because it was so much better having movers and knowing that like they were going to move our stuff. They did such an amazing job. Literally both sets of movers did so good. But I do have a funny story to tell you about the ones in Raleigh. But anyway, back to when we were getting this car. So what ended up happening, we heard, yes, he got the job for sure. We're like, okay, so next week we have to go to Florida and look for a place to live because literally we do not know where we're going to live. So we were planning this trip, right? We're planning the whole entire trip. And then we look at each other, like literally like a couple days into planning it, and we're both like, we do not have cars. Neither of us have cars that will get us to Florida. His car was a piece of junk. There was no way it was going to get us to Florida. And my car literally would not start. So we were like, okay, so what were we thinking? Planning a whole trip to Florida, knowing that we didn't have a way to get there. And because it's all on such a short time frame, like it was just actually the craziest 2 weeks of my life because literally, to put it into perspective, we were leaving to come to Florida on Saturday and we went and bought a car on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. So literally, like, and Wednesday is when we realized we needed a car. Like, it was just insane. So Wednesday, we're looking at each other like, okay, what are we going to do for this trip next week? We don't have a car. And we're like, we might have to just buy a new car or we're going to have to rent one, which would have been fine. But in the end, we're going to be moving in 2 weeks with 2 cars that don't work. And like, so how are we going to get the cars there? So we were like, we are going to have to buy a new car. If you guys remember, I was like, Dominic's wanting a new car and he's not getting one. And let me tell you, he got one because there was literally no way he couldn't have. Our car was clearly having an oil leaking issue. And like, we were clearly going to have like some serious like work done on it. So it made sense for us to get a new car. So Wednesday, we say that. Thursday, we go in, we find this car. This is the only car we looked at, which I don't recommend that ever, but it was really low miles and it was a really good price. I say, even though I didn't even ask what the price was. Like, I literally did not ask what the price was, which in hindsight was crazy of me. I was wilding, but I was just going through the motions and trusting that Dominic was like making a good decision. And he did. He absolutely made a good decision because first of all, we really, really love the car. And second of all, we were able to get a good price for, like, we were actually able to get so much more money than we were expecting for the Jetta. Like, I'm actually shocked by how much money we got for it. So that was considered like a trade-in situation. So we didn't really have to put a lot of money down. It just ended up working out perfectly. And we're really happy with that decision. It just like was a whirlwind and a decision that, do you know, like, you can plan for things. What is that saying? It's like you make plans and God laughs or whatever. And like, I'm not super religious. You guys know that. I've talked about it on my channel. But it's so true. Like, we try to plan things out so far in advance, and then you get in a bind and you just have to do it. Like, you can't, when the time comes, I want to put my hair up because I feel like I keep putting my hands through it and it's getting greasy. We do the front part up, but it's getting, like, this lighting is not the best, right? Either. Like, you can't, it's just like light on my chest. Let's actually move. What do we think of this, you guys? Do we think this is way darker? Oh, it's so much better. It's so much better. Oh my God. Okay, so anyway, as I was saying, we had this car and it was the best decision we possibly could have done, because if we had not made that decision, I don't even know how Dominic would get to work every single day because his car was a piece of junk. And like, we ended up towing my car, which was also a whole thing in itself. But we are going this weekend to get the plates changed over to Florida, and then we ordered a part for my car. That was a whole other thing that we thought we could just drop my car off while we came to Florida and have them put the new center console in. But apparently, because Fiats, you guys, you remember I told you how that guy was telling me that they don't make Fiats anymore? Well, apparently they don't make Fiats anymore, or like the car that I have specifically. So the middle consoles are very hard to find. So that kind of like was weird and played a role. I didn't even think that would ever matter, but it matters because now they cannot find a middle console for me. And so now I have to wait to get that middle console fixed, and the middle console is what is causing my Fiat to die. But anyway, this car we got, so that was great. And then we ended up, oh, I didn't even tell you the story about when we got the car, you guys. Oh my God, it was crazy. Obviously, the car thing was actually a whole story in itself, you guys. So, you know how it is with car people. They try to swindle you into spending way more than you should be. So, at first, the car people offered us, I'm just going to tell you guys, because why do I care? They offered us $6,000 for our Jetta, and on Kelley Blue Book, it said that we could get, I think, between $8,000 and $9,000 for our Jetta. And so Dominic like showed him, and the guy was like, well, like this has an oil issue, you didn't put that on there. And so Dominic like went back through and he showed like I actually did put that on there. And the guy was like, well, this is all we can offer you. And so I don't know if Dominic was going to take it. Like, we work very good in an environment like this together because Dominic knows how I'm going to react. So he said, like, if he says something, he knows how I'm going to react back. So I think that was his plan with this whole thing. So he kind of looked at me and he was like, okay, so like, we should still do it because they're still offering us $6,000. And I was like, hell no, we shouldn't. Like, why don't we just call Kelley Blue Book or like have somebody come out and buy it from us? Because there's some other website that you can sell your car to, and they'll pay you the money and they'll come and get your car. And so I was like, why don't we just do that? And Dominic's like, well, because like we need this car, like we need it for tomorrow. And I'm like, we don't need it that bad, not for $3,000. We don't need it. And because like they were basically gypping us, and the guy ended up saying that he would give us an extra $1,000. So he didn't end up giving us way more, but he ended up giving us more than he was going to originally, which he said was his final offer or whatever. And I was like, there's just no way that if we call your bluff on this, you're not going to offer us more because you want to sell us this car. Like, it's $1,000 for them. Like, that's nothing. And so that happened. And I definitely recommend that for anybody else who's planning on it. Like, don't act like I don't know why. I'm still confused why Dominic was acting like we were in a bind. Like, to them, he was acting like we were in a bind. I'm like, how about you don't act that way to them? Because then they won't think it's like an urgent, they need to sell us this car. Like, they'll know that like we have time, so we're gonna figure it out. Because like, if they won't give us the money, we'll go somewhere else type of situation. But Dominic would know better than I do, because Dominic actually used to sell cars back in the day, so he might know that like that sometimes doesn't work. But regardless, he got me fired up thinking that he was going to accept this that was way lower than what it said we deserved. And so I was like, there's no way we're just going to accept $6,000 without pushing any harder just because the guy says this is all we can offer. Like, no, I don't believe you. And then we go into the finance guy. The finance guy was a piece of work. Oh my God. He was trying to lie to us at every chance, which I understand. He's a finance guy. It makes sense. He wants to just get his money, obviously. But in the end, he ended up trying to gyp us on gap insurance. So we had our loan through Wells Fargo, and he was like, told us like, oh my God, there's a puppy. Oh, okay. There's a person with it. I was like, why is this dog by itself? But anyway, he ended up, oh, there's another puppy. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. Oh my God, little cuties. But anyway, as I was saying, he tried to tell us that Wells Fargo would not let him go any lower than $1,200 for the gap insurance. And I'm just finding it really hard to believe that Dominic didn't know that that wasn't true. But maybe he didn't. But I was sitting there like, there's no way. $1,200? Like, that's not how much gap insurance is. We got our gap insurance last time for $5,000. So I was like, there's just no way that it's $1,200 now. And the guy just kept trying to tell us, well, when was the last time you bought a car? And he played this at us over and over and over again, even with the interest rate thing, which also pissed me off. Cause like, we have amazing credit. We know our interest rate should have been so low. And like, we Googled it and it did say that your interest rate, like after COVID, interest rates are higher. But he ran our credit. Oh, I'm still mad at him for this. I'm still so mad at him for this because we asked him to run our credit through credit unions only, and he ran it through like some bank of some other place that wasn't a credit union. And then we said, okay, well, like when he came back and told us what it was, we said, can you please run it through a credit union? And he still didn't run it through a credit union, which we have on our credit report. Like, it literally tells you who ran your credit, like who they ran it through. And he never did it through a credit union. And oh, I'm still mad at him for that because our interest could have been so much lower. And like, why? why screw people for no reason whatsoever? Like, that literally did not benefit you other than that you're a liar, because then you lied about what our interest rate was. I know he did that for a fact, because then they eat. What they do is they lie about your interest rate, and then they eat the money that you're putting into it, because you're going to then have to put more down, obviously. It's just a whole thing. So frustrating. So anyway, he ends up getting it through Wells Fargo, getting our loan through Wells Fargo. And then we go in and he says, gotta get gap insurance through Wells Fargo. This has nothing to do with us. Like, that's the flat rate. That's how much it costs. Trust me. I was on the phone with them. I'm like, I do not trust you as far as I can throw you. So he goes, you know, people have called in the office, like with them on speaker, and like they've called the 1-800 number, and the people, that's what they tell them. And I look at Dominic and I was like, okay, so like, will you pull the number up on your phone? Cause I think we should give them a call. And the guy was like, okay, like he actually was encouraging it. He was like, yeah, go ahead, give them a call. Dominic calls, and the guy's acting encouraging of it. Like, he was manipulating us. And so Dominic's calling, he can't get a hold of them. Like, it's just ringing. Literally, it goes like 5 minutes ringing. And that's not that long, right? And so Dominic's like, okay, I think I'm just going to hang up and like take his word for it. And I look at him and I'm like, you're not going to hang up. This could literally be like a $600 phone call. And guess what? It was. I was like, you could literally make $600 in the next 15 minutes if you just stay on the phone and try and figure out if this is true information. And so we stay on the phone, and someone ends up answering, and she actually ends up transferring us to the car, like, financing area of the company or whatever, of Wells Fargo. And the lady we got on the phone was so amazing. Like, I wish we remembered her name, because she was incredible. She's telling us, like, no, like, this is not true. Like, we don't come up with what you're going to pay for gap insurance. Like, that's on the dealership. We don't choose what you're going to pay for gap insurance. The dealership chooses. And so we're hearing her, obviously, and we're looking at him, and he's like, no, that's not what they just told me. This is what he's saying to us. He's like, give me the phone. So then we tell the lady, we're like, here, we're going to give the phone to the finance guy. And she screams, as we're handing the phone to him, she screams, no, don't. And then we're like sitting there like, what is going on right now? And she must have had this happen many times before, because she yells, no, don't. And then she goes, she says, this call is recorded, blah, blah, blah. She says the thing that you're supposed to say. So in my head, I was like, oh, maybe she's just irritated. She had to repeat that. But then she starts going at him. She says, you and I both know that you guys choose the gap insurance payment. We do not choose. So hopefully this helps one of you guys out there, because like, she literally saved us so much money, because she's like, you and I both know that you guys choose how much they're going to pay for gap insurance. That is not on us. You guys, just because we have a loan with them does not mean that we like make their gap insurance payment, which is another weird thing, because I literally just talked to you guys about how important gap insurance is and how cheap it was. I'm pretty sure I even talked about that in the video. And so she says, that's blah, 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 blah. He freaks out. He starts yelling over her. He says, no, no, no. And then he's like messing with his phone, and he's like, or with Dominic's phone, and he's like trying to get it off speaker, and he's like freaking out and like yelling over this lady we can clearly hear what she's trying to say. And so then he gives the phone to me, because I'm like, here, I'll help you. So then I help him for whatever reason. I don't know why. I take it off speakerphone, but I turn the volume all the way up on the side so that we still can hear him, or still can hear her. And I hand it back to him, and he's holding it up to his ear, and he's talking to her, and we can still hear her clear as day. And like, she's telling him like, you're a piece of shit, basically. Pretty much telling him he's a piece of shit. And then we're kind of like looking at him and like kind of responding a little bit, and to the point where like he knows like it's it, like that's it. He has to fix this situation, or else we aren't going to probably buy the car from him, because at this point, like, we don't trust him at all. So he hangs up on her, and he goes, she doesn't know what she's talking about, blah, 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 blah. And we're just both looking at him like it's very clear that we know exactly the situation here. He just was caught in a trick bag at that point, and he did it to himself because he encouraged us to call. Anyway, that's what happened with the car situation. So we ended up getting our gap insurance for, I think it was like $600. He said he was giving it to us for the rate that like he pays or whatever. I don't believe it a single thing that guy said. Then we leave. He doesn't send us our plates, which I'm still pissed about because our plate expired yesterday and I'm still driving on it, obviously, but we have a thing scheduled to go in this week Friday in a couple of days to go get a new plate, to get like a Florida plate. But it's frustrating because he knew that we were moving to Florida, so like he probably just chose not to even put in, and then they just probably ate our money that we paid for a plate. Oh, it's so annoying. Okay, you guys, you're getting all the phases, all of the hair phases of me in this video because I had to turn my camera off because it overheated, and then I ended up going into a store, and I live in Florida now, so it's very hot here. But so we get the car, right, and all that goes down, and it's great. I ended up not vlogging, which I really wanted to vlog this all, you guys, because it was a whirlwind, but because I was so like, those 2 weeks, I wish I vlogged them because I felt like I was disassociating because things were so crazy that like, I just wish I had proof it even happened, like as it was happening, but I do not. So we came here with the car. We leave Sunday with my parents. Thank God for my parents. Like literally, we are so grateful for them because we just don't know what we would have done if we could not have left Sunday with them, because it was just such, like my mind was so messed up at that time, like to take care of Sunday in addition, and to like we had to pack our whole house. We literally had to pack our whole house because we did not know we were moving beforehand. Like I had started packing a little bit here and there, but like I didn't want to pack everything because we didn't know for sure we were moving. And so we went back. Sunday was with my parents. We packed our whole house. We hired movers. Actually, what was really funny was that we planned originally on just hiring movers for when we got here to like move them up the stairs, because obviously we're 3 floors. So like literally up until the day before we moved from there, because when I tell you we got back into town Thursday, Tuesday, because, that was a whole other thing. Oh my gosh, you guys, that was a whole other thing I didn't even tell you. When we came here to look at places, I got so devastatingly sick. I think I told you, might have mentioned it to you guys in a different vlog, but I got so sick, and like, I just was so out of it mentally that like, I honestly had to just like trust Dominic's judgment for everything because like, I was not mentally normal because I was so sick. I like felt like I was so like out of it. It honestly felt like COVID for like a couple of days. It didn't really feel like COVID, but it felt like a cold. It's just like I could tell that I was like just not myself. And I think it was just an accumulation of things because I was realizing that like my time in North Carolina was ending. Like it was just all so overwhelming because I had to say bye to all my friends in 2 weeks. All my friends, I have 2 friends, but you know what I mean? Like I just had to tell everyone then that we were actually moving. I think I was just like so overwhelmed that I got sick. And so we ended up going back home a couple days earlier. We were actually supposed to be in North Carolina or in Florida until Thursday. We were supposed to be driving back, but instead we ended up going back on Tuesday because we had found our place already. We felt confident in the places that we had looked at, and we said, I'm sick, so it was just becoming very unenjoyable. So we went back to North Carolina, and I got better like almost immediately, which was good. Like within a couple days, I had like a little cold still, but it was such a mess. So we got back on Tuesday and we had to be moved. Like literally we moved out the following Wednesday. Like that's when we moved all of our stuff to North Carolina or to Florida. And then Thursday was when we had movers coming in Florida to move our stuff into the apartment. So on Tuesday we decided we don't want to move this stuff into the U-Haul truck in North Carolina. So we said, we're just going to hire movers. It really wasn't that expensive. It was like $300 for movers, and that it does seem expensive in the big scheme of things, but because we had the extra help from his work, like it was just so worth it for us. And it was weird. It was really weird, honestly, having them come and move our stuff. Not to mention the movers, you guys, they were crazy. So they show up, I'm looking out the window, and Dominic's like down there going to them, walking towards this guy's car, and the guy is dressed, I shit you not, in a blue button-up top that like it was a long sleeve button down like dress shirt, basically full on cowboy hat. I'm going to insert a picture because like I think it's blurry enough that that it won't be bad for you guys to see. Hopefully I have one actually. I can't remember if I took a screenshot or not, but it was crazy. So I'm looking out there and I'm like, he's going to the wrong car, because not only is that guy getting out on one side of the car with the cowboy hat, on the other side of the car, this girl is getting out in this blue dress. It's like a short dress. She has no leggings on under it. Like you can see her legs. Like at least I think she had no leggings on under it. She ended up putting leggings on, but she's getting out of the car and she's got a dress on. And it's not just like any dress, it's a Jazzy dress. If you guys know, like my Jazzy dresses, they like kind of like balloon out. It's like a skater dress, basically. And I'm looking out there and I'm like, he is literally going up to the wrong car because a different car had shown up at the same time. But the guy was waving him over and I'm looking out like, oh my God, there is no way that this is the people that are going to be moving us. Because the girl, like they were both like really small too. I feel so bad because I underestimated them because they did an amazing job. They did such a good job moving us, but in my head, I was just like, there's no way. There's no way. They're not going to get this done in 2 hours. Like, there's absolutely no way. And they did. They got it all done in 2 hours. They did not want our help. They had these like strap things that like strapped under their body and held the furniture underneath. So like they were able to go up and down the stairs with our fireplace. Like they literally did such a good job. However, when I first saw them, I was like, what are you doing? And then as the time went on, literally 2 hours in, at the end, the guy is still wearing his cowboy hat. Like he never took the cowboy hat off the whole entire time he moved us. And I was just like, that is a choice, especially in this heat. It was like, I'm talking 90 degrees that day, and he had his long sleeve shirt on and a cowboy hat. And she was wearing this dress with leggings. And I was just like, what is happening? So Dominic was the one that booked these because remember, I was like not in my right mind. Dominic was making the choices. And so I'm like, did you know it was going to be like a girl and a guy? Because originally when she like stepped out, I was just like, how's this going to work? I think it wouldn't have been as like, it wouldn't have been as taking me back if she wasn't wearing a dress. But because she was wearing a dress, I was just like, these people don't look like they look like they just came from church, like, or a wedding or something. They do not look like they're prepared to move us. And so I'm like, did you know? And he was like, no, I had no idea. Like, it didn't say in the reviews. I'm like, okay, let me take a look. I look at the reviews, you guys, there's no way. I'm like, if you had even looked at one of these reviews, you would have known it's Tori and this other guy who I don't remember his name, but it's Victoria. In every single review, it said, Victoria was great, Victoria, girl guy, every single review. I was like, okay, so at least they do this often, like, and clearly they did, because they did such an amazing job. But I was like, had you just looked at a single review, you would have known it was a girl and a guy. In hindsight, I regretted underestimating Victoria, because Victoria and the guy, I mean, I was underestimating both of them. I'm not even going to lie, because the guy, I'm telling you, looked like he was in a cowboy movie. And like, I was just like, there's absolutely, you have to be shitting me. Like, there's no way they're going to be able to do this. They did amazing. Unfortunately, they didn't leave us any room in the truck because they packed the truck the way they should have packed it, which was low and like not high. So like things weren't going to fall all over the place, but we still had a bunch of shit we were going to be moving in there from our bedroom that we didn't really want them handling, because like it was like the more delicate things that I was nervous. You know, you just don't know who you're going to get, like if they're going to be careful. And they were so careful, you guys. Like, they were so sweet and so kind and so good with our belongings. And it just meant a lot, because you could tell they really cared to help and like to make sure that none of our stuff breaks, which to me, that's a good sign, because like it could not be them at all that breaks our stuff. Like, it could be us in the move. It could be the movers that move us in afterwards could break things. But they were still so careful. Like, they didn't care. Like, they just didn't want on their watch to have broken anything or be responsible for breaking anything. And that was so nice. But they did like lay it all out. So we had a 16-foot truck, and I knew that was way too much space. Like, we had rented a truck too big for us. But I also knew like we could manage it, like, because we've done it before. So I knew like they would probably fill it to maybe like a half of the truck or even 3/4, and then we could put the rest of the stuff in. But instead what they did was they did half the truck like height wise. So they had our totes, because we moved with all totes like I told you guys. They had half our totes, so everything was like kind of 3 totes high at the back of the truck, and then they put my mattress in the middle of the truck. So like once they put the mattress in and they put the couch in, you can't really get past the mattress to put more on top of the stuff that's past the mattress without pulling the couch out. So they did the mattress and they put my couch in, and then we're looking at the stuff at our house and like, what do we do now with all this? Because we still have to pack all of this. And so we ended up just having to pack a lot of it in the cars, which was fine because we were towing my my car anyway, so we could fill the whole entire car with it. Anyway, they did a great job though. I have no complaints because literally nothing broke. In the move, not a single thing broke, other than, you guys are gonna shit yourself when you hear what, because it's something I use all the time. The only thing that broke was my mirror. So I just ordered a new mirror from Temu, so you guys will see that soon because I want to see how it is. I mean, it was the cheapest option I had for a good size mirror. So I ordered a new mirror because my mirror broke. Because the way they did it was weird. Honestly, that was the only thing I was like, why did you do it this way? He put the couch down and then he put my mirror down underneath the cushions, but still like kind of hanging off the ledge a little bit of the couch and like just kind of hanging there. And then he put cushions on top, and then we obviously still loaded more stuff afterwards. So like it was heavy obviously, but it doesn't matter. I was like, it's fine. I've had the mirror a really long time. It's probably time for a new mirror anyway, even though in hindsight, I'm regretting that decision because mirrors are actually so expensive, and my mom got me that mirror and like I didn't realize how much money it was at the time, and they're more money now, I'm sure, but like I was just like, oh shoot, I thought it was like a $50 mirror because I'm pretty sure my mom told me it was like $50 at the time she bought it, but now they're like $150 for mirrors. So we bought a new mirror though, and that's the only thing that broke. So then we get here and we end up getting here at literally midnight because we both drove separate. Dominic drove the U-Haul, towing my car. We had to go 55 miles per hour. I'm sorry if you guys don't want to hear this whole entire story in depth, but it's just a lot. It's just a lot those couple of weeks. So we drove 55 miles per hour and we ended up getting here at midnight. We left at like, I don't know, I think we left at like 7 a.m. or something. Oh no, it was later. It was later. Okay, that makes me feel a lot better. We left at like 10 or 11, I think, because we had so much to finish. Like we had so much we had to clear out. We had to clean the apartment before the people came, which was a whole thing in itself. It was so stressful because I just didn't want to leave our apartment looking disgusting because like, and it didn't look disgusting. Like, we lived in it for 4 or 5 years. So, like, it makes sense, the wear and tear on the apartment. But our landlords were so good to us our whole entire time living there that, like, I just wanted to leave it nice. So, we spent the whole night before we moved cleaning rather than packing our cars up. We spent it cleaning everything, like the kitchen and stuff. And, which I'm really grateful we did that because, like, I felt so much better leaving it like that than had we not cleaned it all. But anyway, back to what I was saying. We ended up leaving around 10, which was honestly great because I ended up seeing my friend Jay, who, is my neighbor, who, if I talk about too much, I will start crying because I really am sad about not living near her anymore. But it is what it is. I got to see her. We actually went to Starbucks, one of the days before I left, and I hung out with my friend Stacy before I left too, and then I left. And now I'm here. And I'm happy. It's just, I'm sad because, like, we obviously don't know our neighbors here, which is probably a good thing. But, I just don't know if or when I'll ever see Jay again. But we had a great time, and I got to see her literally right before we left out of town. Like, she was outside leaving. So, like, we got to say goodbye to each other. And that was really nice and needed. All right, guys. It is time for us to get on the road. And I have not filmed it all. So I don't even know where I'm going to put this in a video because I literally have not filmed a single thing for you guys for this move. But we'll see. I've filmed like a couple clips here or there, but not of me talking. And I look like this right now. But I wanted to show the apartment before we leave. I'm sad. We'll discuss. I'm happy at the same time, but sad. So I'm going to show you guys real quick and then we'll be at our new apartment next. Saying goodbye to my office. My first ever office. And then we left. We drove here. We got here at midnight, and we ended up having to, we didn't know where we were living really, because like, remember, like we had just seen the place one time. Like we just didn't really have time to like vet the place. So we didn't know if it was a nice neighborhood. Turns out it's, oh my gosh, such a nice neighborhood, you guys. Like, it's so nice. So like, and to the point of like my car, my Fiat still is packed full of stuff, and nobody's tried to break into it or anything. Like, it's all still full. But when we first got in that first night, we had to pull my Fiat off the truck, and we had to unload Dominic's car, and just like there was just so much we had to do that first night. So we didn't go to bed till like 3 a.m. and we had the 3 flights of stairs, and I just know Dominic and I were both looking at each other like this was the worst decision of our lives. Like, we were both looking at each other like we just made a huge mistake, because we were going up and down those stairs, like over and over and over again, unloading stuff. And I mean, it was not easy. And so we were like, thank God we have movers, but we were worried because it was taking us forever to get up and down the stairs. We were like, there's no way they're going to be able to do this in 2 hours. Like, we're going to be stuck doing a lot of our unloading. Well, then the following morning comes the mover. We scheduled the movers for 8 a.m. Like, what were we thinking? We do not know. But we scheduled them for 8 a.m. and we didn't get to bed till 3. And then they came and they did the whole entire move like in the 2 hours, literally 2 hours on the dot, and they had everything cleared out of the trucks. Like, it could not have went better. I think both Dominic and I were both like, okay, now we can finally breathe and feel good about everything. And we do. We feel really good. But that's the tea. That's what's been going on over here. So we're finally at a point, like, it's been a couple of weeks now that we both feel like, okay, we're living here now. Like, let's get into the swing of things. It's definitely been a bit, you guys. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Like, I can feel that I'm still like that. I still feel like kind of heavy from it all because it was just a lot of change really quick. And like, even though it's something that I have been wanting for a long time, like, you guys know, I love Florida. You know that, like, we've been talking about moving to Florida for a long time. It just felt so fast, and like, I like to be able to say goodbye to a place, you know, like I like to be able to know I'm gonna be done with a place. And like, it just felt like in the blink of an eye, like we were there and then we were gone. Like, we didn't even get to like do any of the things that, like, you know, you want to do before you move a place you've lived for so long, you know, like the memory things. So it is what it is. But we're happy with where we are now. I think we're both still just like going through the motions, because immediately, literally they moved us in Thursday. Dominic had to start his new job Friday. So like, right away he had to start his new job. So we haven't really had a minute. That's why I'm finally getting a minute to talk to you guys, and I'm happy to be unloading. But I love you guys. I hope this kind of like brought you up to date on everything. I really think in the moment I should have been vlogging, because the stories were so funny in the moment as it was happening. But like, and had I just picked up my camera, honestly, I probably would have felt a lot lighter as I was going through it. But instead I was like, I don't have time. Like, I do not have time. But if I had picked my camera up, I probably would have just like been able to make light of everything. But it was just so overwhelming. You know those seasons where you're just like, what are we doing right now? Like, we are making a horrible decision. But then afterwards, like, genuinely, we feel like we made the right decision. Like, genuinely, we were looking at our apartment and we're like, this was the right choice. This feels like the right decision for our life. It's just a lot of change after being so comfortable in a place. And I just do so bad with change, but I'm doing it, you guys. And anyway, I'm gonna wrap this video up here because I already know it's like an hour-long video. I don't even know how many of you are gonna watch it. But I hope the ones that do are nice, because I have to say, I've been getting some mean comments the last couple of weeks too. Like, while I'm going through all this, I'm just like, okay, you guys, calm down. I literally had someone comment on one of my videos. I like you and all, but you laugh way too much. I just don't get it. I'm like, okay, Well, would you like me to be miserable? Like, is that what we're going for here? Because it's just, I laugh through everything. I laugh through the happy times, I laugh through the hard times, and I laugh through the uncomfortable times. And it was on like a haul that I wasn't feeling confident in myself in. And I'm just like, do you not realize, like, people laugh when they are nervous or when they're uncomfortable? Like, oh, it just pissed me off. But some of the comments I've been getting have just not been good. So hopefully you guys like this video, and hopefully it's the good ones that watch it. But I love you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one.